White cop assaults black woman in front of City Hall. Little did he know she was a former Army Special Forces. Stop resisting, the officer screamed as he slammed her against the concrete. The irony? She hadn't moved an inch. By the time the video hit social media, it had already been downloaded, reposted, and dissected in rage-filled Reddit threads and teary TikToks. But at 10:42 a.m. that Wednesday morning, no one standing on the steps of Charleston City Hall had a clue what was about to explode except maybe her. Monica LaRue wore a plain black hoodie and faded jeans, blending in with the small crowd gathered to protest the city's latest eviction mandate. A clipboard clutched in one hand, her eyes scanned the faces young, old, black, white, all worn down by the same system that had forgotten them. No one knew she had once worn a different kind of uniform. No one knew her back had carried the weight of fallen brothers and a war the country barely acknowledged anymore. She hadn't come looking for a fight, but injustice has a way of finding those who won't kneel. It started with a shout, "Disperse immediately or face arrest." The voice came from Officer Brad Callen, a tall, broad-shouldered cop with a jaw clenched like a vice and sunglasses he never took off, even indoors. He moved through the crowd like a lion marking territory, aggressive, loud, itching for someone to push back. Monica didn't move. He saw her 5'7", maybe 140 pounds, and picked her. Not the man yelling with a megaphone. Not the teen spray-painting chalk slogans. Her. The woman standing still, calm, unbothered. "I said move. I heard you." That was all she said. In a flash, he grabbed her arm and twisted. Someone gasped. Another pulled out their phone. Monica didn't resist. She didn't shout. She lowered her center of gravity, locked her feet into a stance taught at Fort Bragg, and let him make the mistake. Callen shoved her, expecting her to stumble. She didn't. He went harder, slamming her against the marble wall. Her shoulder hit the edge, pain blooming like fire down her spine. Still, she didn't react. And that's when the punch came. A clean jab to her ribs. No warning. No de-escalation. Phones recorded. Screams echoed. Monica finally moved, but not how he expected. In one smooth motion, she pivoted, locked his wrist, and sent his 200-pound frame sprawling to the ground in less than 2 seconds. Her movements were precise, controlled, not flashy. She didn't stomp on him, didn't gloat. She stepped back, hands raised. But it was too late. Other officers rushed in, guns half drawn, barking contradictory orders. Down on the ground. She's armed. She attacked an officer. "I'm unarmed," Monica shouted, her voice steady. "And I'm not the threat here." Someone in the crowd yelled, "We've got it all on video." That's when things froze. Even the officers hesitated. The one on the ground, Callen, groaned in humiliation more than pain. His sunglasses had cracked. His pride shattered. They cuffed Monica anyway. The walk through City Hall was silent but heavy. Protesters screamed. One elderly woman shouted, "That's my daughter. That's my daughter." Monica didn't break her stride. Not when she was shoved into the back of the cruiser. Not even when Callen spat near her boots and muttered, "Should have stayed in your place." News traveled faster than truth. The official police statement said she'd aggressively resisted arrest and struck an officer. But the internet had receipts. Within hours, hashtags trended. "Justice for Monica. She protected us. Callen must go." What they didn't know yet was that Monica had once been Sergeant First Class Monica LaRue, Special Forces operative with 3 deployments under her belt, 2 medals for valor, and a discharge only because her spine could no longer carry rucksacks across enemy terrain. But she could still carry truth. Her lawyer, a young black woman named Kiera Brooks, walked into court like a storm in heels. Calm, precise, relentless. She played the video from 7 angles. Highlighted every time Monica didn't fight back. Paused where Callen threw the first punch. Let the silence of the courtroom absorb it. Then came the military records. Monica's full service history. Her injuries. Her honorable discharge. Her community service since returning home. Kiera's closing argument was barely louder than a whisper. She has defended this country on foreign soil and on American streets. What she couldn't defend herself against until now was the assumption that her blackness made her dangerous. That standing still made her guilty. That her silence invited violence. The jury took 46 minutes. Not guilty. But that wasn't enough. By then, protests had spread. Not just for Monica but for every woman who looked like her and was told to sit down, be quiet, and know her place. City Hall became the epicenter of a reckoning. Calls for Callan's badge, for independent reviews, for real reform. Monica, when released, didn't hold a press conference. She didn't scream or gloat. She walked down those same marble steps she'd been assaulted on, raised her chin, and hugged her mother. Later, in a church basement, surrounded by community leaders and kids who'd seen the video 100 times, she finally spoke. I didn't want to be a symbol. I wanted to help people. That's why I wore the uniform. But sometimes, helping means standing your ground when the world tells you to move. A young boy asked, "Are you going back to the army?" She smiled. "No, I've got a different mission now." The crowd clapped. And somewhere, Callan watched in silence, a suspension letter in one hand and a subpoena in the other. Because sometimes, justice doesn't come with flashing lights. Sometimes, it walks in wearing jeans and a hoodie and dares you to look again. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.